Hello, it's Michael Angelo Caruso. I'm here at the Rotary Club of Evansville, Indiana, and we're having a fantastic luncheon. I want to tell you a quick story about elevator speeches and how powerful they can be. I was on an airplane once, and I like the aisle seat on the airplane, so I chose my aisle seat, and next to me was an empty seat, and then the window. I knew the plane was full because I had talked to the gate agent, and I was playing that game on the plane of, I wonder who's sitting next to me today. Have you ever played that game? Love that game. And as I'm sitting and I'm waiting for someone to come sit next to me, a beautiful woman walks onto the plane. A gorgeous woman. And I thought, I wonder if she's sitting next to me. And she kept walking and she kept walking and she walked right by me. It's not her. And then a big guy gets on the plane, and I thought, I wonder if he's sitting next to me. And he doesn't sit next to me either. He goes to the back of the plane. And then I heard my seatmate before I saw him. You know why I heard him? Because he was talking on his cell phone. And for some reason, people talk on cell phones more loudly than they do in real life. This used to annoy me until I realized you could learn a lot of personal information about people just by listening to their cell phone calls, which they want you to do anyway because they're talking so loud. So while he's in front of me, he gives me his elevator speech, which sounds something like this. And oddly enough, I know exactly what he wants. He wants me to get out of my chair so he can sit down. So I stand up, and I move into the aisle, and he's saying goodbye to a child that does not want to say goodbye to Daddy. Bag goes into the overhead, another bag's going to go under his seat. Before it does, I see the name of a Michigan manufacturer on the luggage tag. I now think I know where this gentleman might work. He sits down, and now he's saying goodbye to a second child who does not want to say goodbye to Daddy. By the time they close the boarding door, he's saying goodbye to a third kid who is screaming so loudly into the phone, I can hear him from my seat. They close the boarding door. He says, son, Daddy will be home soon. Please don't cry. Please don't cry. I'll be home soon. I love you. Daddy loves you. Goodbye, son. Click. And he sighs as if the weight of the world is leaving his shoulders. And I turned to him to give him my elevator speech. I said, Daddy's leaving home, huh? He said, oh, you were listening. I said, how could I not? He says, my kids do not like it when I leave home. I said, how often do you travel? He says, 12 days a month. I said, what do? You travel 12 days a month. He says, I'm a sales manager. I said, you work at that company on that tag? He says, yes, I do. I said, how many kids do you have? He says, 3. I said, what are their ages? He says, 4, 5, and 8. I said, what are their names? He says, we gave them S names, Sandy, Sally, and Scotty. Scotty's the oldest one, and he was the one that was screaming the most loudly into the phone. I said, well, I can see why they don't like you to travel. Why do you have to travel so much as a sales manager? He says, I got to make sure my people are working a full day. And then he got a really strange expression on his face, and he turned to me and he said, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. That's interesting, isn't it? Interesting thing to say with that expression. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. Why is he doing this? And then it occurred to me, he's not sorry that he didn't get my name. He's sorry he's given a complete stranger so much personal information. I mean, think about this. I now know the names and ages of his 3 children. I know how often he travels. I know where he works. I know what he does at work. And I know his biggest problem at work. He knows nothing about me, and it's time to play catch up. So he says, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. And I turned to him and I held out my hand because I know the person who holds out his hand first has more influence in any interaction. I held out my hand first and I said, my name is Michael Angelo Caruso. Now my name by itself is an elevator speech. My name is Michael Angelo Caruso. And he shakes my hand and he says, Michael Angelo Caruso. He says, that's a fabulous name. He says, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I teach sales managers how to get their people to work a full day. He says, oh, do you have a business card? And the lady in front of us says, I want one too.